Hey, everybody! Welcome to Inspiring Wednesdays Live. And today we have our guest, Rachel Arandilla. She is the brilliant mind behind Economerienda, and she's also the owner of Graphic Nine. Okay, we're waiting for the people to pour in. Charlene, did you send the announcement?
I should also share this right now. I think I shared it na.
Also, kindly tell like the other space.
Oh, there. Okay. Let's
Okay.
see. One sec. Let me just share it to
Yeah.
friends.
Good evening to everybody who's here.
Hi. Let me also share this in Economerienda. Para
Yes. So we have a really nice topic tonight, and it's something that for me I've been very curious about since forever. Because when I was younger, you know, I always wanted to be like a novelist of sorts.
wow.
As if but dili jud mamatay ang akong like my desire to be like an author. And so today's topic is something that will surely be of interest to a lot of people, and it is how to become an author. So our guest here, Rachel, is a published author. She has a really nice book. Oh my gosh, I have it in my room.
Oh yeah. You got it. Thank you for the support.
There? You have it there?
Oh no, I don't. But I could screen it later. I'll share my screen later and share it. Like, some slight plug.
Yes. So
Yeah.
um so I wanted to interview Rachel because aside from she's my friend and I'm always in awe of her intelligence, her grace, and as well as her thoughts, and her business acumen. But I'm really very curious about, her journey, about like, behind her entrepreneurial journey and also her journey as an author. So, for the benefit of everybody who is watching and who will be watching, of course, after the live stream, Rachel, kindly tell us like all about you. Ni freeze. Am I frozen or si Rachel? Ah, okay.
Okay lang. Are we having some technical issues?
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay na.
Okay na. Okay,
Yeah.
sige. I'm Rachel, and I'm an entrepreneur and a writer, and that's why I'm here. Like, I'm going to give you some tips and some, like, my story and how I became an author, a published author. And yeah, that's how I could summarize myself. I love writing and I love business. So
Technical issue.
like
Hello? Guys, by the way, if you have questions for Rachel, just post it, please. That would be so appreciated. You were frozen a while there,
oh,
Rachel.
should I leave and start again? Unsaon man na to? Is it
Maybe
always
maybe
cutting?
your router, and then I'll just be here. We will wait for you. Maybe your router needs to be power cycled. Anyway, for everybody who's here, um, let's just wait for Rachel. But in the meantime, I just wanted to tell everybody how thankful I am that you're here. Um, Rachel is actually really, she studied in Wharton Business School. And, if you have questions for her regarding business and investing and things like that as well, she would also be a really good resource. So if you have questions related to those, feel free to write them in the comments. Okay. Also, don't forget to share the live stream, guys, while we're waiting for Rachel. My hair is not cooperating today. Good evening, everyone. I'm seeing that there are like 26 eyeballs, 27 right now. Good evening to everybody. Please, please make yourself known that you're there. Oh my gosh, it's so hot. It's Tonight's topic, for those who were not here earlier, just to let you know, our topic for today is how to be an author. Especially for the writers out there, maybe you have plans to become an author. If you want to publish your book, we have a really nice topic for today. And even while we're waiting for Rachel's connection to be back up, please feel free to send your comments and of course your questions so that when she's back she can answer them. So while we're waiting, I would just like to greet, hello Yurilyn, hello Jennifer, hello Marge, hello Anne, Tere, Bea, Wonderful Fruit, and Hilda. Good evening, guys. I'm seeing your comments and I really appreciate it. I don't see the others though. Okay. Where is Rachel? Hello, Ethel. As a young kid, I actually really, because I'm such an avid reader. And so I always fantasized about becoming an author. And so today's topic is something that I really wanted to delve into because I know that there are a lot of platforms already, but Rachel is, somebody who really has published a book. And so let's talk to her. Okay, Rachel is here.
Hi.
Oh my God. How was it?
I don't know why I'm choppy on my end, but then you were fine. Like on my end, you weren't cutting off. So I guess it was my internet.
Mm-mm.
So sorry about that, everyone. Okay, maybe I'll go on and introduce myself. Again, thank you, Judee, for having me here. I'm Rachel, and I'm currently based and quarantined in Cebu. So I'm an author. I'm a published author. I love writing. I'm an entrepreneur. So I own Graphic Nine, which is a print shop, print and production shop. So we also print books. So, that's a good convenience as an author. I guess my background is really mainly on design and business. So my undergrad, I have a design on, I'm a fine arts graduate and I also have an MBA. So I could say I'm a poet and a quant. And right now, like I've already published my own book and I've joined, another anthology, which again, I'll share to you later. I have a second book like this year that came out. My first book came out last year. My second book came out this year. And I'm also working on another book project that hopefully will come out next year. So that one is really big, and I'm really excited about that also. But yeah, so that's my aim. Like, I'm a published author, and I also aim to help others, other writers, get their books out too. So I'm really excited that Judee has expressed her interest in also publishing her own book. So
Yeah.
I want to know more about that soon. So I guess that's it. Like, I'm in business and I'm in writing.
What got
Yeah.
you started on your book, like on your journey as a writer? Like, tell me about it. Like,
Okay.
how was it prompted? Like, and how did you like come across this whole process? Because as somebody who has always been harping on since I was literally like 9 years old, my grandfather, who is a doctor, would ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I would say an author. And he always says, no, doctor. But like, do you get it? Like, in my end, being becoming an author, a published author, seems to be such a lofty dream. But then how were you able to bridge that gap from, you know that childhood dream or like fantasy to actually really being able to do it?
Yeah. I also always loved writing. So I think, when I was 5, I mean, I loved reading first. So,
Definitely.
right. So
I
you're
think
always,
all writers are readers.
yeah, exactly. I agree. So you love reading first, and then you discover writing because you think to yourself like, okay, I want to do that too, diba? So I've always thought, that I wanted to write. And again, the usual stint, like, discovering myself, like writing my own diaries, and
Oh,
then
really?
game. So I think, every reader wants to be a writer. I would think that, no?
I
So
would think that, like, we all had, I don't know, but I think, like, especially as a kid, the people who eventually became, like, let's say, good writers, let's say among your peers, were those who were stuck on a book as young as, let's say, like, early grade school, I
yeah,
think. Mhm.
exactly. So I always, also grade school, high school, college, I was contributing to the to the school paper, and I'm sure you also did, right? I think we had this conversation before.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then it progressed, of course, for me, like contributing for Sunstar, which is, the biggest paper in Cebu.
Yeah.
And thankfully, like, they gave me a chance to have my own travel column from 2012 to 2020, although karon wala na my weekend. So right now wala na because of course. Yeah, but then still, I still continued having different channels in writing, which is of course my blog, and then again I'm working on a book project. So I think how I bridged that gap was really, serendipity, because I was able to meet people like publishers, editors who believed in my work. I think as an artist, any form of art, artists are generally insecure, like they don't think their work is good enough, and that was the same for me. Like,
That's so true. Like, imposter syndrome,
yeah, the imposter
right?
syndrome. Like a lot of us are too shy to share to other people, and then I think it starts with that. Like, I guess, I said like, okay, maybe I'll just share it to some people and then get some feedback. Thankfully there were people who believed in me, so that's how I found my publisher, uh, Donald Villamero of DCO. So it was also like serendipity when I met him. We just met in some event that I forgot already what it was about, but that's when I knew that he was a publisher, and he was in traditional publishing actually. So there are different things now. There's traditional publishing, and there's also like self publishing. So what he basically does is that he scouts, authors, writers, and then he sort of like a producer. He invests on your book, and then he lets it out. He prints it, he distributes it, and everything. So he was very pivotal in having my first book, Postcards from Elsewhere, happen. So that was really it. Like we just met by chance. I told him that I'm an author and I always wanted to write a book, and he said that he's a publisher. So yeah, he said like, show me your manuscript, and I did, and then that was it. But it
How
was a
long?
process. It was a 1.5 year engagement. So people would think,
The
yeah.
1.5 years was like with the manuscript. You already had your manuscript already.
Yeah, I had my manuscript. We did 3 rounds of editing, like back and forth, and then there were a lot of things that went on, and then of course there's distribution, marketing, everything. So it's not just like how to be an author. I don't. It's not. It doesn't stop with just finishing your manuscript. That's like 10% of
Oh my gosh. It's
yeah.
even more than birthing a baby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, birth pains. Yeah, so that's it. Like yeah, wala pa. So there's a lot of other things that you need to think about. So karon, like I've done the traditional publishing part, and I
Mhm.
learned a lot. Actually, I really enjoyed working with Donald. So right now with my second book, it was more of a contribution. So I work with different authors. Right
Is
now,
it already out? That
yeah,
book?
yeah, it's
What
part.
book is it?
It's an ebook lang, but then it's out on Play Store. So maybe
Ah,
maybe
yeah,
I'll share.
share it. Yeah, you can share it. Yeah.
Okay, for a slight plug. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, I wasn't. For we have some visual eye candy. Can you see it? I'm not sure if you can see it.
Add it now, Charlene. Oh, there.
Oh, sorry. This is okay. Graphic 9. Okay, we backtrack a little. We do printing, as I said, and then
Mhm.
this is my book.
Oh yeah, this is Rachel's book. It's a beautiful book. I bought it. It's a
Thank
beautiful
you for
book.
supporting your.
And
You know,
it's colorful and it's
yes, it's
it's
full
so
color.
beautiful. I want it. I want a book also like this.
You should. Like it's amazing. Everything here, like it's written by Cebuano author, it's illustrated by Cebuano artist, it's printed and hardbound manually, like in Cebu. Everything is made in Cebu, production, everything. So
So wonderful.
yeah, quite a few people were shocked, like from Singapore, everything to know that something like this. It's actually like very high.
Very high quality. That's what
Yeah,
I can say. It's very high quality. Yeah.
yeah.
Because I have it. I have it. I even display it in my living room.
Thank you for your
This is
support.
nice.
And this is the second book. So
Oh,
but it's just an ebook. Pero my story, this is also an anthology. But instead of travel, mine was a travel anthology. All my stories, all short
yes.
stories. This one is like Chicken Soup of the Soul.
I
They're
love anthologies.
yeah,
I
me too.
super love anthologies because it's not such a big commitment compared to like a novel.
I've always, ako said, Judee, I've always been like a short story or essay kind of, writer, diba? Pero there are people like, if you remember, we had the right weekend. We
Yeah.
engaged with authors. Some of them are more comfortable with novels. Some of them are more comfortable with fiction and fiction, etc. And I think that's one of the first steps that you need to take as an author. Like you need to know like what your strengths are, diba?
Oh my gosh. I can
Yeah.
say personally that I don't have such a vivid imagination to be able to create fiction. That's what I do know for myself. Because
Yeah.
every time I attempt to create like a fiction thing, it is not good at all.
So what do you think, dude? Like if you are going to publish a book, unsa man ang genre, what genre are you going to focus on?
I probably would write something about what I'm good at, which is like, let's say, the current industry that I'm in, which is about virtual assistants.
Oh,
And
nice.
then I would also want to create a book about I would really want to also create an anthology wherein I would round up female Filipina entrepreneurs to talk about like what their advice would be to future Filipina entrepreneurs. Because I think that we're such an underserved sector in society because there's so few of us, or maybe like we're always all just reduced to, oh, she's just selling online, like as if it's just a hobby. So I want, to do something like that.
Nice. I would love that. I would buy your book too. So
I
if
would
you were
include you in my book if I were to write it. I really should.
definitely. So yeah, I'll share also another like I'll share my screen again because that's what
Okay.
I'm busy with now actually with Graphic 9 again.
Mhm.
We printed the book as well. We did everything, the production. So now I wanted to bring that to other authors and aspiring authors and writers as well because with us with Graphic 9 and for both my experience in printing and in editing and writing, I could help you. So we could help you. I mean, so you could self-publish. So the publishing industry has really democratized. That's the thing. Like whereas before, kaning mga stories nilang J.K. Rowling. Have you heard of that nga?
Yes, like they're always turned down by all these mean publishers, and like they were so poor and writing in a coffee shop, like so something like that, and then until they got a book deal.
Exactly. So you needed to do that. You need to have a book agent. You needed to have to pitch it to certain publishers, and you have to be rejected like 20 times, 50 times. But now, because of well, partly a huge part of it because of the innovations in printing, like you can do print in demand. You could just print pila ka books. Wait, I think it's here. Oh, there, as low as 10 pieces, 20 pieces. You could do that, right? And then of course Amazon Publishing, ebooks. So and then you could just get the royalties, like a huge part of it to yourself. Dili na, whereas before, it funnels through the publishing company. You only get like 5%, 10%, or whatever was agreed on. Pero
Really?
yeah, yeah. But then they do
5%.
everything. They do the printing. They have a budget, diba? So they have a big budget.
I just wanted to know, like for traditional authors, they only
Yeah.
get like 5%.
It depends on your agreement. Normally, I think it's 5 to 10, 5 to 15%.
What?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's not a
So
lot,
it's
right?
not.
Especially if what if your book is like super, like let's say for example, it's quite pricey, let's say. So
Mm.
I actually, a lot of people may say now, oh, what good could, your book be if it's self-published? By the way, just to let everybody know, Rich Dad Poor Dad was actually self-published.
Oh, was it
It was.
amazing?
And they only had like 100 copies at first.
Nice.
And so see, like, and then, but then they were able to, and then now they literally, because it became such a success that they still are self-publishing it, I believe, under their Rich Dad brand, something. So they have like 100% of their profit.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, they do. They will have
That's
almost.
such an inspiration, in which in my end, like it would really, because I've been also like looking at some, I guess, people I admire. And then there was also this girl who created like some sort of workbooks for, I guess, artists, or workbooks for like, artists as well as entrepreneurs. And then now she is selling it by the thousands.
Nice. And she's
And then
self-published.
she self-published. Yes.
So
Okay.
it's really like deciding if you're gonna do self-publish. There are pros and cons, and I
Okay. Tell us about that. Okay. Tell us about, pros and cons. Because, of course, this is a talk show. That
definitely.
was my order.
It's actually a big decision for you. Okay, I finished this manuscript. What am I going to do with it? Because there's two ways, diba? You could go to a publisher, you could pitch it, and they will produce it and sell it to the bookstores, ingana. And then the second one is to just self-publish. And self-publish is like ikaw tanan. You're investing your book. You invest on the printing, the everything, the distributions. You reach out to the bookstores like, hey, can you display my book? Can you sell it in your store? Ingana. So that's the hard part with it. So with mine, Postcards from Elsewhere, I did traditional publishing because it was my first book. And
Mm.
even if I have contributed for Sunstar, for various papers, like it's a different journey, and I really needed someone to guide me, especially if it was my first book. Like, I didn't know anyone in the industry, in the book publishing industry. So Donald was there. He was he was huge help. Like, he guided me all throughout, and he believed in me. That was the most
He's so
important.
nice. And I met him, di ba?
Yeah.
We're not yet done with the birth charts.
Well,
But I
COVID.
really love him. I love him as well.
Yeah. Hi, Donald. I hope you're listening.
Yes. Hi to Donald.
Yeah. So
And
that's
love Nemo that you're so nice.
exactly, yeah. So that's the biggest like advantage with traditional publishing. If someone did believe in you, if someone was willing to let out, their own money from their own pockets, like
How much is the expense? Like,
the
you know?
so
Yeah.
so well, basically the printing, and then of course the promotions, the book launch. I guess that's it. That's it. But before, I guess traditional publishing was really the norm because of offset printing, they needed to print like 1,000 copies or more, diba? But
That's
then
true.
exactly, so it's really hard for people back then, a few decades ago, to publish, to have that money. Yeah, you needed at least 500K here in the Philippines, let's say, to print 1,000 books. And then what if they don't sell? Whereas,
Yes. I
diba?
will just display it in my house, and then in my bedroom, and then in my CR.
Christmas gift.
Gift.
Every year, Christmas gift.
Yes, every day na lang.
But
Until mahurot. And then
yeah,
you're gonna like push people to just get it.
exactly. So now, because, well, I think if you're already like if you're already a famous celebrity, or a self-made guru, or businessman nga, you already have a following, then it really makes sense to do it, to hire, because kamay man, in the end you really have. And sometimes if you don't read in your contract, you might end up like selling your soul. Like, you're not only selling your book rights, you're also selling the movie rights. What if ba? If some, yeah, so you
Oh.
have to, right, reading the contract is really important, that it's fair to you. But then, of course, not a lot of people know this, especially if it's their first book. So I was very fortunate to have a publisher who was really, yeah.
Not not a bad person.
Not, yeah, exactly. So that's my first book. With the self-publishing, that's the thing. All the risk, it's like a business deal, diba, Judy? Like,
Mhm.
you don't have a partner, if you don't have a backer, an investor, all the risk is yours. All And then if it fails, again, if it doesn't sell, then it's all yours. And you have inventory that's not sold. So
That's true. Oh my gosh. We all know that.
I know we're all businessmen, sad, diba? Yeah, in
Yes.
various. Yeah, so muna siya kanang, thankfully now also with Graphic 9, we kana makaprint on demand na me. Like, we could have as few as 10, 20 pieces, 50
That is
pieces.
so cool. So that
Yeah.
you can at least have like a sample, and then
Ex-
so that you can at least be able to really like, I guess, do something with it marketing wise, and then before that you can order more in bulk, right?
Yeah. And also
Okay.
revisions, diba? Like, what if you want to add, what if there was a typo, and then
Exactly. Oh my gosh. What if there's a typo and then you already had like 1,000 copies?
exactly.
I
So
would And then writers are so self-critical about themselves.
Hmm.
Like each grammatical error is such a big deal. In
Yeah.
fact, I really berate myself that my phone is so large and I always have typos. And I'm like, for the life of me, why am I always like always having these typos? We have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So from Eurolyn Minamides, she asks, how long does it take you to write a book?
How long is it? Well, again, I'm a short story writer. So my books were usually like, a compilation of my essays. So it took me, so it was not that difficult in that sense. Pero of course, again, Judy was right. Like even if it was published before, kanang you will always see or notice things and you want to change it. Ingana. So how long did it? How long for me to write an essay? Let's just say an essay. It takes me like 2 days or so, or less. Like if it's there, but then there will be drought. Kanayana ba, like you have some very inspiring days that you couldn't stop writing, and then maybe there would be a long 6 month, 3 month duration. You don't want to write at all. So
That is so true.
yeah.
That's so true. Because when my company started out, Rachel, actually Virtual Lasting, which is an outsourcing company for virtual assistants, we actually started as like a ghostwriting
Oh,
company for foreign websites, like for websites in the North America, things like that. And you know what? Um, I can honestly say that after like I think after producing so many articles, there was a time that I was so sick of writing
yeah,
that I did not want to write anything.
that's true. Yeah, yeah. It's very arbitrary, right? Like some people could write a novel for 3 months and some could take years. Like for me, I'm a big fan of George R. R. Martin. The A Song of Ice and Fire or Game of Thrones. It takes him like every
Mhm.
10 years for the next book, and then we're
Because it's a masterpiece, though,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, I'm a big fan. So wala siya, but sometimes it's so frustrating, right? Like, hey, finish your book.
That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah. So it's a very arbitrary. For me, it took me as I said, like I think 3 months to combine everything to make the flow like make sense, kind of make sense,
Mhm.
and then yeah, like but then it took another 9 months at least to do everything else, editing, everything. What else? Editing, publishing, printing. Yeah, so that's it.
It's a long process. You know what? I really want to do it though.
You should, you
Wish me
should
luck.
take advantage, guys. Please take
I
advantage.
should do it like I'm gonna announce it so that I will be I will have people as my witness that I should publish a book before my 33rd birthday.
Oh, how long is that?
So how long is that? November 2022.
Okay, you
Or
should.
at least attempt the process.
Should. No, no, no. Don't. We're not gonna be
dapat
back.
dapat publish lagi.
Make it a promise. Like make a mock up of the book. Out November 2022. Bitaw.
November 2022. Oh my gosh. As
Yeah.
God is my witness and 25 people here with 54 reactions and Rachel and Charlene. Okay. Okay, so we also have another question here.
Sure.
Are you experiencing writer's block? If yes, how do you overcome it?
Definitely. Gosh. Yeah, I haven't been writing like since I published my book. Wala ko ni write for 6 months at all, and because of course I was also I think writer's block as even if it happens, it definitely happens. And as I said, there you have really inspiring or really productive days, and you also have writer's block. And sometimes for me, I used writing as a therapy back then. Like when you're going through a lot, when you're heartbroken.
One heartbroken, 1 million.
Be
You're
heartbroken.
oh
But then
my god.
if you're happy, it's so hard. It's so hard to write. It's so hard to find your muse. Yeah, diba? Your muse comes when you're, in the dark.
Especially when you're like so broken, right? You can write so many things, and then when you're happy, you would just say, "I'm so happy today."
Magsige lang kag date-date.
You know what? Like, sige lang date niya.
Diba?
Wala
So
suwat-suwat. You will not, That's true. Sometimes heartbreak is your ally.
sometimes it is. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for that question. I really like that. Yeah.
What are your okay, from Marge Manaloto, what are your inspirations when writing an essay?
Oh, right. Okay. I also like a lot of short story authors. So I like Pico Iyer. He also writes travel essays, and yeah, he's very good. And then David Sedaris. Um, what I noticed is the writers that I know they're not so mainstream. Of course, I like J.K. Rowling. I like Stephen King. Pero kaya siguro in my genre, I like David Sedaris and I like Pico Air. They have their own personality. Like when you read them, it feels like they're talking to you. More conversational kailang style ba? So, you can imagine
Just
them.
like your book. You know what?
Yeah,
And my mom also read your book. My mom.
yeah, yeah,
You know what? When I'm working here, magselos man ko if like she's on Netflix. And there was a time that she was staying here with me, like I think for 2 weeks, and she was like, "Just get me that book."
Oh,
I
yeah.
like your book.
You're like, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. You're like conversing with a friend. So I guess that's how I wanted to position myself with that style also. So that's why I guess.
Yeah,
I
it's actually so vivid. Like I literally thought that I was you.
Oh, thank you, Judy.
When I read your book, I was like, I felt like I'm Rachel. Like I literally was the one who's traveling.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. I think yeah. I also like advice lang ba on how to get better in your craft as a writer is to read and read a lot because like if you're gonna say I want to be a writer or I want to publish a book and then you don't really like reading other people's work, it's
That
a
is
bit
so
weird.
funny though. That's
Huh?
so funny because so many people are like, I hate reading. I'm like, what?
And
Reading
then
is a nice thing. I cannot, I cannot go a single day without reading or even at least an audiobook. And
definitely.
but then that's true. That's so true.
Yeah, it's unfair to have people like read my book, but then you don't really read other people's work. So
It gives you a sense of perspective, right? And you actually like in my end, I'm so amazed at how imaginative and how creative other people are. So like for example, when you only expose yourself to like one particular um let's say kind of let's say genre or just one author, you realize that in some way you will kind of mimic that. And then if you don't expose yourself to a lot of people, then you're missing out on all these amazing styles that people can actually teach you.
yeah, exactly. That's true. Because I don't read just essays or I don't read just short stories, right? I mean, I even read like Russian literature in a very thick,
Wow.
I love Russian literature, but then I read all kinds.
Really?
Yeah.
About Russian literature. That's
I like
amazing.
Lolita. I don't know. I like Crime and Punishment, Lolita. But then yeah, they're a bit dark. But then kinda like sometimes it shows. It's like a mosaic. Like Imo's writing style, it will come out like
It
a bit,
is like a mosaic.
diba? Like
Like a
cynical,
collage.
like a collage. Yeah, romantic, and it forms into your own style rather than if you just read someone like once someone ha lang leave or
Oh, and then you will just, in some way, if you just read that kind of book, you will probably just write the same exact way,
yeah, yeah,
or hopefully a little bit better and not worse.
exactly. That's true. So you don't want to mimic. You don't want to be at another lang leave. You want to be your own brand. So I guess yeah, that's why you should be very diverse about reading. Yeah, reading all kinds of genres, even if like it doesn't suit. You know, yeah, yeah. Just do that, and you'll find your way. Yeah,
we
you'll
have
find.
we have really we have our a lot of questions here. So
Sure.
from Maricel Obayas, is there someone that you can approach to help you check if there are some grammar errors, especially that English is not our first language before you can publish your work?
Yep. So you could also hire certain people, freelancers, people in the gig economy for a rate. You could do that. You could ask a friend who's probably like, an English literature or English education English teacher. That's one way of like saving it, like saving money. And then probably the most basic one is just download Grammarly and then check for
Grammar.
grammar.
Just Grammarly, and the next.
No, do that first. Do Grammarly first, and then have it checked by a friend second, and then third, yeah, then hire a professional if you really want to go.
Where do you hire like a professional editor?
You should. You should though. Like it also helps. They just don't check the grammar
I mean,
set structures. They actually also make some suggestions. So
where do you hire those people?
you could ask, like I think in the gig economy, Fiverr, etc. Or if you do know someone in your circle in Cebu, that would be helpful. For me, they did hire an editor, so she was really good. Also, I really appreciated, like, they it would be nice to have
Like another perspective.
yeah, 2 or 3 sets of eyes. You think that it's really good now, but then bitaw no, like just be open. And yeah, editors that our editor and my publisher were really helpful in that as well. Not just the grammar, but also in the voice of your writing. And so yeah.
That's true. Because you know what? I I actually with my ghostwriting company, I actually have like a lot of writers before. I think almost 100 writers, and I was one of the editors. And we actually had a lot of people who, wrote for newspapers
Wow.
also. But then, yeah. So even if like they are professionally writing in that sense, but there really are still, I guess, because when you are writing, it's always good to have somebody else's voice read it as well. and then it's and then we always had like, I guess, like a three-step process also, even just for articles that are just for content online. So a lot of people would read.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess that's why you could do 3 layers, especially if you're planning to commercialize it. That would be very helpful. Yeah. Even myself sometimes, like, I read my book, and then you yeah, like even after not reading it, then you read it again, then you want to add or you want to edit or you want to improve it or naday sa'yo, you know. So also editors don't just check for grammar and these and voice, they also fact check. So I think that's
Fact
really
check.
important.
That's really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. So
God knows I might, like say something that is totally baseless.
exactly, yeah, that's true. So
Okay.
fact checking, definitely.
We have another question here. What kind of topic do you think will be interesting to write in this generation? From Hilda Cruz Paralajes.
Gosh,
Paralejas.
Hilda, I think that's no longer an issue now because of the many subcultures that have grown, like many
That's so
new
true.
interests, you will always find someone who'll be, because obviously kanang mura magting ka mga I wanna have a very broad what do you call that, market or interested readers. But okay, that's good. Pero actually a lot of niche writers and even niche websites, like all they write about are like cats, taking care of cats or
That
everything.
is
But
so true.
diba, grabe kayo kasi sila
You
ka
actually find more success if you niche down. Because
exactly.
then it really targets a specific kind of people who become, I guess, like your super fans,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
Super
Compared to, let's say, for example, I'm gonna write a book about business, and then my book will just say business,
fun. Something
and then
wrong.
people are like, why? Why will I buy that book?
Yeah,
How is it different? But that's
exactly. Kinda
right.
differentiate.
Okay, that's a really nice point, Rachel, because so many people are so pressured with public opinion that what if my book will not sell, or what if my content or whatever it is will not sell, because they're always thinking about unsay in what is like the trend, when in reality the world is filled with so many different people who have varied interests. Like me as a person can be an entrepreneur but also be so obsessed with like very niche products, like for example crystals, or let's
Or,
say beeswax candles, things like that.
yeah,
And like for example, some people are so interested with like doing all these other things. So we can't really say that um you'll just think of what's really in, diba? Or like,
exactly.
what's the perfect keyword?
Yeah, yeah. Or kind of like you're right. Like, okay, I want to write a book. Maybe I want to write a love story because everyone loves love stories.
Love
Di ba?
story.
But then you have to have like a unique spin to it, niche to it, something different anyway. Like, of course, maybe not everyone will love your koan, your book or your topic because it's niche, but then you will find a group, you will find a tribe who will be so into that and they are willing to pay, good money to learn more about these things. So definitely Judy is right. Like ako sad, maybe right now, let's say I wanted to know more about dried flowers. So
My dried flowers.
so you
It's
have
not
to,
here.
yeah, find a YouTube channel, a blog, an ebook, everything about that. And then, of course, not everyone's gonna write about dried flowers, diba? And then,
That's true.
if you do have a specialization on that, then yeah, you could serve well to a certain interested reader. Mhm.
Okay, that's a really good point. We have another question. What do you think makes a good story?
Okay. Well, it's really about, you have to ask, because okay, of course, for me, as again, because it's a short story and it's my experience. Some, it could sound like a diary. It could sound like self-defending. So that's a problem. But so I really think, on how I angle my stories. I really think like, what can my readers take away from this, diba? So it's not just like
That's
me,
so true.
diba, me defending myself or this is my side of the story. But what, diba, what can my readers take away from this, diba? So I think that's what will make a good story, like be relatable, show vulnerability. This
I
isn't
think
just,
that's such a good point, because you know what? I think, like, from, let's say, from my childhood writing,
yeah,
because you know what? Recently I unearthed
you're
this, I unearthed like
oh,
some files, and I saw like I literally had a collection of poems and short stories from when I was like 9 years old. And you know what? I can say that they're not good because you can say that a story is not good if it doesn't have a point, and it doesn't have, like, let's say, for example, something of value. Like, for example, the way that other people will write down just a series of events, and then there's nothing really to it. Like, for example, so we went to the mall, and then after that we went to the garden, and then we went, something like that.
Gets go. It's like, yeah, that's how we start, diba, as writing. Like, it makes sense to us as kids or as starting
Kid.
writers. Okay, from the
I
moment
was
we
so like I was so I don't know, it was so cringy, but at the same time,
but
and we had this whole title like collection.
wow.
It was so funny and cringy.
But that's how I also started, like how I plot, because karon there's a lot of instruments or tools you can, or sinatawag, I forgot the term, but then instruments that you could use to how to arrange your plot, diba? Like dili naman, the most basic is like from the moment you wake up and then mag-ilis ka and then want to go to school or work, from the start of your day to the end of your day. That's like something a grade schooler would do as a story.
Yeah,
What
that's
we
true.
do. Pero karon, like there's like kind of mag backflash, and then or you could write it reverse the story. So,
Mm.
yeah, devices.
I don't know. Where did you learn these things?
Well, reading other styles, and then of course there's also sa tawag ano, the narrator, and gosh, I should have researched before
Like
I
mga third person nga narration, no?
the narrator who's not really honest. Kalimot ko sa term. The
Ay, ooh.
untrust
Yes,
untrustworthy.
and actually it makes for a very interesting
Yeah.
book because they add their own opinion to it.
Yeah. Like not is all what it seems. Daghan na like styles, diba? And then of course when we started writing when we were grade school, okay, we're nagyo hero, diba? But then
Yeah.
now,
Karon
currently,
ang hero kay kita.
and we're perfect a hero, she's very cool and all that. But now we have anti-heroes and they're actually more interesting, diba? Like of course in Netflix, let's say katong you, the
So yeah.
so Gone Girl. So all these other like devices, it koan mura pug di progress ba on um how our writing was when we were grade school, diba? And now I also cringe by the way.
Oh my gosh.
So
I
stop writing, right? Like I think I published my book last year. I think maybe 20 years down the line, I probably cringe at my first book. So it's not like I've arrived already. I have a lot to learn.
we have so many phases, I guess, because I'm also really big on diaries. Like I kept a diary. The first time I kept a diary was, I think I was 6, and I have different diaries. And then also recently, I'm not kidding. I found my diary for when I was like, I think 16 years old. And I was plotting out like, like I was some heroine of my life. And I was going to be like this and this and this. And I'm like, wow. But it's such a great somehow study for your own character development.
Definitely. Yeah, that's
It's
true.
amazing.
Yeah. At least, the reader is just you, right? Because
the reader's just me, thank God.
The reader is just you. So you're.
Hala, nawala ka, Rachel. Rachel. Hello? Ni-freeze ka a little. Or ni-freeze jud ka.
Okay.
Okay, balik na.
Let me leave.
Perfect, no, it's okay. It's okay now. Okay, all right. We have a comment here. Why do I feel like you're Rachel Chu?
No, I'm not Rachel Chu. I heard that. Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah. I think it's a compliment, but you know what? Rachel Chu is Rachel Arandilla is more well-rounded. She is super smart. Guys, read her blog. Economerienda, there is this article that I really super love. Like, what was that? Like, what was the
Love is
title? Like,
the worst investment.
love is
Love
not.
is the
Love is not.
worst.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Love is
Are
the
you
worst
sure?
investment, and I'm like, that resonated in my soul.
Yeah.
And I think
Me.
a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to it because um like the way we also somehow calculate in our minds the investments that we do regarding our time, but then guys, you have to check it out.
Please do,
Rachel,
guys.
you better like share the links in our comments maybe or something,
Sure,
or
here in
Charlene, you share the links.
yeah, I'll share it. Sure, in this
Anything.
StreamYard or in Facebook.
Yeah, you can also share it here
Okay,
on
definitely.
StreamYard.
Yeah, you guys should. But then actually, it was. I meant it, but of course it was a bit of an exaggeration. Pero kanang it was a bit of a satire too, because I'm sure I
It
also got
is a satire. It has, I think, a good ending.
some criticism of them, like, hello, what's
Really?
naman satire?
What's
But it's
the best?
fine. No, it's fine. Like, typical, like, yeah, you get some flack anyway for being. It is like maybe because it was a little what's many controversial. Because of course I said love is a bad investment.
Anything controversial, and then of course people who don't read it, right? Because I think that they were not able to finish. Maybe they just like looked at the title, and then people are like that. They comment on things without reading
Yeah.
everything. But anyway, before
Actually,
we go, I
yeah.
wanted to ask you, what would be your advice for people who want, to follow your path as an author? Like, your final words of encouragement and advice.
Um, what is never stop growing and improving. I guess that's one. Again, for me, even if I'm really, I feel like I've checked some, a box because I published a book, and then, but don't stop learning, don't stop growing. Like, even after school, the growth mindset. After school, continue growing, continue learning, continue opening up yourself to curiosity. And yeah, that really is it. Like, find wonder in the everyday, like even when you're just commuting, or even when you're just buying a face shield, there's always a
You know
story.
what? That's such an artistic way of viewing things. That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true. By the way, I can relate. Yeah,
Yeah.
continue.
I forgot to mention, but then someone asked me who my inspiration was, and I mentioned some authors. But I also derived a lot of inspiration from my story night storytellers. I have this group before COVID and everything. We did some story nights events once a month, and then we invite different people of all walks of life. They're not even professional storytellers, but then everyone has a story to tell. And then I think when I started doing story nights, like a lot of people would like, "Unsa man na?" And then when I invite them to tell a story, they always say nga, wala mo ko'y story, like boring man kay ko, boring
That's
man ako.
so true. Because
But
di ba,
that's,
I think ni-inquire ko ni mo na, I'm like, "Ano sa story?"
I mean, like, to be able to tell a good story orally or written, it will make you the instantly a charismatic person. Even bitaw ka, do you know that person who I'm sure you have a friend nga kanang even iyang chika ba kay wala siya kabayad sa jeep. And then she could make it into this really dramatic thing that,
That's true.
or the most interesting story in the world, even if it was very mundane. It's a good practice, and that's what I really wanted to do for that group. And kana like karon, maybe I'll do an online
An
thing.
online thing. I want to join.
Do that.
Invite everybody to, your upcoming events, and of course, to all the things that you're doing.
Yeah. Again, thank you for having me, Judee. Just add me on Facebook and Instagram. Like, if you have any questions, if you're a writer, if you're an author, if you want to print a book or publish a book, reach out to me. Reach out to me for any questions. That's what this, talk is about. I wanted to reach out to more writers, definitely, especially in the Philippines. There's so much untapped talent here in the Philippines, and I think we could do more. And just go out of your comfort zone and be confident. I hope, just share, just share. Come on, man. It's I think the one big block stopping from many artists and writers is really the confidence or the insecurity. So please do
That's,
reach out to me if you have questions. I will help
that's
you. I
so
will be
true.
more than happy to help you.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you
Enjoy that.
so much, Rachel. I'm so happy. I feel like the time is not even enough because actually I have more questions. But I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm so
Thank you so
happy
much
for that.
for gracing us with your presence. I'm really happy. And thank you so much, everybody, for being here. You all have a great evening and you all take care. By the way, for those who have not subscribed yet, please go to Judee Rallios TV and to our Facebook page, which is Judee Rallios. Bye bye, everyone. Bye bye,
Bye.
Rachel.